Hey, welcome back to my Halloween edition reviews. Hopefully you all are enjoying them. This film, I'm surprised at this one that I never reviewed it. From Dusk Till Dawn, one of my favorite, actually it is, also my favorite vampire film. And I don't get into a whole lot of vampire films, like, I own the original Dracula from 1931. I also own, Nosferatu. Don't judge me, I'm into silent films, if they're scary. But can you call this a straight horror film? Not really. It's more of an action horror movie. Like, it's got horror and action, both 50-50. And these are the only films I like of Quentin Tarantino's. I'm just not a fan of them. Like, I tried getting into Pulp Fiction, couldn't do it. Uh, I I think he did Planet Terror with Robert Rodriguez. I could be wrong, but I'm not into the grindhouse movies. I mean, like, I like that style, but the movies they had picked out, Planet Terror and what's that other one called? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but Planet Terror and that other one. This movie is way better than those, in my eyes. Like, in your eyes, this probably doesn't mean shit. But, to me it does. And I like this cover way better than the original cover. It, let me see if I can get the original cover. It's been forever since I've watched this movie, but I've watched this movie so many times as a kid that I pretty much know most of the lines word for word. Yeah. It stars George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, of course. He's got to be in his own movies. They play brothers running away from the law. They kidnapped a teacher, which it shows them driving the car, and every now and then it will cut back to the trunk, and it goes to an X-ray view where we see what's inside the trunk, and it happens to be the teacher. What ends up happening next? They decide to room at a hotel. Hotel, motel, whatever, doesn't really matter. It's not really important because 30 minutes in is definitely where you get a lot of the cool kick-ass stuff. This movie, as I said, it's my favorite vampire movie. I do have the second one on videotape, but I can't find it. And a lot of people hate the third one. I liked the third one. It was a prequel to this, which was kind of cool because if you think about it, with each movie it was going backwards. Like, part 3 is actually 1, part 2 is actually 2, of course, and part 3 is actually part 1. So, yeah. They made a video game out of this, by the way, and everybody says it sucks. I played it. I liked it. Yeah, it can get a little finicky at times, but I liked it. At least it's better than a lot of the other horror movie themed video games. Like the ones based off of films and not based off of an original idea. For instance, we've got Jaws. It's a fun game, Jaws Unleashed. It's a fun game, but it's not really all that thrilling because you are Jaws. But that's a different story. Anyways, The two brothers, their names are Seth and, uh, man, I forgot, Quentin Tarantino's name in this movie. Uh, Richie. Seth and Richie Gecko, they decide to hold up in the hotel, and Seth, or George Clooney, ends up going to get something for them to eat. And while he's gone, Quentin Tarantino decides, oh, I'm gonna kill our hostage. And Seth comes back, and he is not happy what he sees. Thankfully, we don't really see what's going on. We just see some parts flashing in front of us of what's on the bed. So, you think that George Clooney, Seth Gecko, is going to pretty much beat the shit out of Richie, Quentin Tarantino. But what happens is, he ends up saying, say you fucking understand. I swear, Seth, I fucking understand. And that was a pretty cool moment. Like, I saw a little bit of George Clooney movies growing up. Yes, even that abomination, Batman and Robin. I did not like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I think he played in The Perfect Storm, but I don't remember much about that movie. But this is probably my favorite George Clooney movie. And the only Quentin Tarantino film I really like. Anyways, going on. They're in the hotel and everything, and their neighbors, well, not really neighbors as in living in the hotel or anything, but their motel neighbors uh, are a daughter, a father, and a brother, uh, and the father is played by none other than Harvey Keitel. Um, the daughter is played by Juliette Lewis. Some might remember her from What's Eating Gilbert Grape. She even has her own band, but I tried listening to the music. I didn't like it. Her acting is good, but not a really big fan of her music. Uh, and anyways, uh, the more the movie rolls on, the more and more it becomes a horror film. Like, Seth and Richie decide, oh, they're going to hide out in Mexico. So they take the family hostage and say, you're gonna drive us to Mexico or I will kill you. Uh, and what happens? They're driving to a strip club, pretty much, called the Titty Twister. And what happens is, they're driving along and they get stopped by one of the road guards for the border patrol, and it's played by none other than Cheech from Cheech and Chong. He's got 3 roles in this goddamn movie. His first role happens to be the border patrol. Then after that's all done, they end up going just right on through, break on through to the other side. Sorry. Anyways, they finally get to the bar, and we get more notable people. We get Salma Hayek, which she is damn good looking. She's on the cover. Yeah. We've got Danny Trejo, who would play in Machete, which that was a ripoff. My mom likes the movie. I didn't like it. Not there's only a little bit of action and pretty much a boring story. I don't want to know about the Mexican border. If I want to know that, I'll just pop in that one movie, Mexican American. And I don't even like that movie. But anyways, Danny Trejo was there. Hopefully I am pronouncing his name right, because some people say Danny Trejo, but I say Trejo. Anyways, the more and more the movie goes on, oh, and before I forget, the one who opens up the bar for them is Cheech Marin yet again. He's the one who talks about what you're gonna see inside the bar, the strip club, strip bar. And so, Richie, or Quentin Tarantino, ends up being a dumbass and kicks the shit out of Cheech Marin. So, for a short while, we don't see Cheech Marin again. And then he just waltzes right up to the table and says, this one right here broke my finger and my nose. And one of them stabs Richie right in the hand, and it looks like the blood is going up into the dagger or knife, I forget. Oh, and we also got Tom Savini in this. The effects, I think, are made by Kurtzman, Nicotero, and Howard Berger. Yep, I was right. Oftentimes I'm wrong, but anyways, the more we roll on with it, and finally, I think at the 35 or 40 minute mark, maybe even 37 minutes in, we get Satanical Pandemonium played by the lovely Salma Hayek. And she dances for a while, and then it cuts to the part I was just at, talking about how Seth and Richie are pretty much screwed, because Cheech Marin got angry about them kicking his ass. But one thing doesn't make sense. Why do you have to have Cheech Marin play 3 roles? Explain that to me, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. Explain that to me. Like, I'll sit here and wait. Oh, okay. You don't need it. You don't need 3 people, one person playing 3 people. If you want to do that, at least show them all together. That way it's interesting. Because if it's one character playing 3 different roles, shouldn't it at least be dual roles for them all? Like, hell, in Nutty Professor, Eddie Murphy plays 7 roles. He even plays a white dude. But it's a movie. I'm not complaining, I'm just a little annoyed because Robert Rodriguez does that in another one of his movies. But anyways, back on topic, the scene happens where Richie gets stabbed in the hand, and it looks like Salma Hayek is getting off by looking at the blood. But she ends up turning into a vampire in this really kick-ass effect. If they used computers for anything, it was probably the face change and the melting of the body. But the way she turns, she looks like a not cannibalistic, but she looks just like an evil chameleon type of creature. And she steps on Seth's stomach and says, "You'll be my footstool. Since you'll be my dog, your name will be Spot." And he shoots. This is what I'm talking about with great action. He shoots the chandelier down, and it crushes Salma Hayek, and she ends up melting, and her face just melts in with the ground. And I thought that was a really cool effect. This is how you do some CGI right. And Kurtzman, Nicotero, and Howard Berger, I give them props. They did some really kick-ass effects. And like I said, Tom Savini's in the movie. He plays the character of Sex Machine. Here's a question I gotta ask about Tom Savini. Is he really an asshole in real life? Because I hear that he's an asshole in real life. Some people say he's nice, but is he nice or is he an asshole? Because I know for a fact Bruce Campbell is a big asshole. But enough about Brucey Bruce. Bruce with a sluice. Anyways, it's all about this movie right here. This was probably... I saw this... When did this come out? Okay. Trying to find it. I think it came out in 1997, but I'm not seeing a year. I hate it when DVDs do that. They don't even show you a year. I think this came out in 1997, so it came out when I was 3 years old, because it came out before November. And my dad was like, oh, this is going to be an action-packed movie, and he didn't know it was going to be a horror film. Neither did I, and with a name like From Dusk Till Dawn, you're kind of expecting something to happen in the dark. And when it turned into a vampire film, my dad was just like, I got ripped off, because he doesn't like horror movies. Anyways, sorry, I have to scratch my nose. Anyways, the more the movie rolls on, the more vampires we get. Danny Trejo, his makeup for his vampire look looks really kick-ass. And that tattoo on his pelvic region, like right on his chest and his stomach, that's a real tattoo. Like, that is really his tattoo. So I think they just put that scene in just for Danny Trejo to take his shirt off. I'm like, okay, we get the fact that you're a vampire and you're a badass, but put some clothes back on, you're scaring the children. Maybe put your fangs away too. Maybe clean up your lip a little right there because you got some blood going on and I don't want any of that getting on me. Okay then, okay Danny. You don't have to get mad now. Anyways, the more the movie rolls on, I'm like, okay, this is getting better. And they go into, like, a cave, an extra part of the strip club, and what happens is, the bar gets swarmed with bats, but before they go into the cave, Sex Machine gets bit. And he's slowly turning into a vampire. His hands start to grow claws, like really long nails. He starts growing an extra set of teeth, fangs. And then he gets his head ripped off when he turns into a vampire. And when that happens, he turns into a giant rat. And I'm like, that is one cool effect. Like, at the age of, I said 4, but I was 3 years old. So anyways, a 3-year-old seeing a movie like this, I had to keep my eyes closed for the nudity scenes, but come on, I'm 3 years old. What's a baby gonna do? Anyways, I'm just sitting there stunned at what I'm seeing. And I'm like, now this is a cool vampire movie. And it was probably the 4th or 5th vampire film I ever saw. And it was the first vampire movie I ever saw that was rated R. Uh, I think John Carpenter's Vampires came out after this. But that's another film people should check out too. I'll review that movie someday if I ever get a hold of it. But I got a lot of movies playing for this month, so you're gonna have to ease back a little bit. If you have any requests, comment down below. The movie starts going on, and Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, and the brother Scott is his name. I forget the guy's real name, but the character's name is Scott. I forget the name of Juliette Lewis. I almost said Lois. And Harvey Keitel plays the role of Jacob. And one thing ends up happening to Harvey Keitel before they go into the cave. He gets bit. Either on the neck or on the hand. I keep on forgetting. But anyways, they're gearing up for battle. They've got stuff like a rock drill, like one of those things you go and cut cement with, like you go on top of it, like kind of like a pogo stick. Well, not exactly like a pogo stick, but you shove it into the ground. Jackhammer, that's what they're called. Anyways, the more the movie goes on, the better the kills get. And there are just bats flying and flying through the bar, and they all turn into vampires, like they go and take the form of vampires. Could you also call these demons as well? Because, hell, Tom Savini turns into a fucking giant rat. So, did Stephen King have anything to do with this? If he did, tell me. Please tell me. Because that rat, seeing it now, it kind of reminds me of the rat/bat creature in one of my favorite horror movies, Graveyard Shift. If nobody has seen that, check it out if you're a Stephen King fan, because that film is kick-ass. Anyways, I'm trying to shorten this up, but not spoil anything at the same time. And I probably spoiled half the movie. So my bad, I am not re-uploading this because my camera is kind of coming in and out on the screen. But hopefully I'm not getting cut off. Like, hopefully I'm still coming and getting clear. So, anyways, check out From Dusk Till Dawn. It's a great movie to watch. Not a great date movie, though, because there is a lot of titties in this. And, there's just a lot of what the fuck moments. But there's some great vampire action in it, too. And like I said, it's the only Quentin Tarantino movies I really like. I think he did do part 2 and part 3, but I'm not entirely sure. And this and the Spy Kids movies are the only Robert Rodriguez movies I like. Yes, call me a kid, call me whatever. I like the Spy Kids films. I grew up on them. But I didn't like the third one. I even own the third one, but enough about Spy Kids. We're talking about From Dusk Till Dawn, and what I give it? A 9 out of 10. Yep. You might like that rating, you might hate that rating. But 9 out of 10 hatchets. One of my favorite movies, and it deserves an applause. Yeah. So, catch you all later. I'm out.